Welcome to Off Topic with Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm Mike.
And welcome to our show. So today we're going to talk about
HBO Max.
And their controversial decision to put everything on there.
Yeah,
No.
controversial
Yes,
is putting it mildly.
Yeah, so I think Christopher Nolan said it's the worst streaming service.
I enjoyed that. He said that, directors went to bed working for the best movie studio and woke up working for the worst streaming service. So,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is going to need some ice for that burn.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Now, some people want to defend the move. You can defend the move, but you definitely cannot defend the way they went about it. I think that's indefensible, first of all.
Yeah, I think there's really just no excuse for not informing your business partners, especially where Legendary is concerned. They put up most of the money for Dune, and Warner Brothers just like, nope, we're doing this.
Yep. So right off the back, even if you hate movie theaters, you just cannot defend we're not going to tell you guys we're doing this until we announce it to public. That's just completely indefensible.
Right. I think even in Christopher Nolan's statements, obviously he's upset because he's a big movie guy and he likes movie theaters and stuff like that. But I think even more so, he's just like, that's not how you treat people.
Yeah. And also, see, I'm very curious because I know a lot of actors take smaller salaries to get a cut of the ticket sales.
Right.
Now, yes, it is technically going to theaters, but not really.
Right.
So,
exactly. It's hard to, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know too much about the legalese of the situation, but, generally in situations where you can prove that someone's actions kind of lost you potential profits, that's grounds to sue somebody. So
yeah,
I'd say the lawyers are probably coming out on this one.
Oh yeah, which also that's part of it. Like that's something they could have worked out had they not just been like, oh, we're doing this. Like had they discussed this more, they could have worked out. Okay, we're gonna compensate you for this way or that way. But again, they just did it out of nowhere.
Well, I think what makes it really almost more offensive is the fact that they did negotiate that with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
They just said, all right, we're just going to assume that if this movie went to theaters, it would have made approximately $1 billion. So we're going to give you... Which is a fair estimate. And, she gets back-end deal points accordingly. Which makes sense. But, Timothée Chalamet didn't get that. Margot Robbie didn't get that. Nobody else got that. So
yeah,
it's kind of a slap in the face if you're any other actor working for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and I know AMC, they actually agreed to do the Wonder Woman simultaneous release, but they're like, oh yeah, so this is a one-time thing, and then now those are like, wait, what? We agreed to do this once, not all next year.
Right. I think there was a similar kind of controversy with Trolls, not obviously to the same extent, but when Trolls World Tour first came out, people were upset that it skipped the theatrical window or shortened the theatrical window. But I think it was really when they came out and said, oh yeah, and also future movies. That's when AMC kind of flew off the handle at them that, that wasn't acceptable. And so I think it's a similar situation of, it would be one thing if they said, oh, the pandemic's still going, and so the first half of the year we're going to do it on a movie-by-movie basis, but you can expect the majority of films to be negotiated to be day-and-date releases on HBO Max for everybody's safety. But the fact that they just blanketly said, every movie in 2021 is coming to HBO Max at the same time as theaters, and the theaters were like, say what? I think...
That's it.
No, I think that's really, it shows kind of it's more of a corporate maneuvering rather than actually being concerned about anybody's safety.
Yeah, but see, the other thing is, the vaccine does exist. Yes, I know there's a lot of debate, the timeline is for it to be distributed, but, most experts are saying, before, sometime 2021, everybody who wants the vaccine can have it. So it's kind of really going very far in advance and say, oh, all of 2021 is going straight to HBO Max, because it seems, again, I know nobody really knows anything for sure, but it seems like by fall 2021, movie theaters would be safe.
I mean, one would only hope. Obviously, like you said,
like I said, I'm not speaking indefinites, but I'm saying that's what things are looking like now.
Right. Well, the fact that they didn't even leave that door open, they didn't say conditionally all movies are coming to HBO Max, but if theaters are back to 100% capacity before that, we will switch back to the traditional model. They didn't say that. They were just like, this is happening. And what makes it even worse is that they were the ones who pushed theaters to reopen for Tenet. They were like, we're putting out Tenet, you better be open. Warner Brothers were the ones who pressured theaters to open themselves, and then they took a huge loss on Tenet, and then now they're saying, oh, just kidding, we're going to give all of our stuff to streaming. And it's kind of a big slap in the face.
Yeah. And also, like, they're not even throwing them a bone. Like, they could, like, throw them a bone and say, okay, movie theaters, 2 weeks, and then HBO Max. Like, they're not even, like, trying to offer a compromise here.
No, it's true. They're not. There's no theatrical window, and I do think that aspect of it might be kind of a legal thing. I think if there's any gap, it might have to be the specific, like, you either do a day and date release model or you do the traditional 30-day window. I don't know if
Netflix doesn't do the traditional 30-day window. Now, granted, most theaters don't carry Netflix films.
Right, well,
but when they do,
but Netflix has its own theaters that it shows its own movies in. So I think that's it's a different story with, like, with Disney, right? If they own a property, they can put their own property on Disney Plus. But it's a different story if it's like sort of a hybrid thing. Like, I think if you hear in the future about Black Widow coming to Disney Plus, which would be a different episode if that happens, but I think you wouldn't get the same kind of pushback as this sort of like blindsided, ready, fire, aim strategy that Warner Brothers seems to have.
Well, also, I don't think Disney would do that also. Most companies wouldn't do something like this without, talking to people. They wouldn't just, shock everyone doing it suddenly.
Well, I mean, I think it all just comes down to the fact that Warner Brothers, at the end of the day, is owned by AT&T, and AT&T is very happy to just let movie theaters and movie studios burn to the ground because they already own the infrastructure for the internet and the TV and everything. So if they can eventually acclimate the general public to a direct-to-consumer, we make the content, we stream the content, we give you the internet, which allows you to stream the content. Basically, they just have a complete monopoly on the entire pipeline. So I don't think AT&T cares what happens to Warner Brothers. I mean, if they survive, it's a nice bonus, but obviously, if it does come down to a boycott, which, I'd like to hear your thoughts on, Warner Brothers is in a lot of trouble.
Well, I mean, as far as the boycott goes, I really don't give them money to begin with. I mooch HBO Max off my parents.
Oh, I meant a DGA boycott if, like, the Actors Guild or the Directors Guild decides to boycott Warner Brothers in response. Because there's talk of that. There's talk that the Directors Guild, Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, a couple of the big names are, thinking about boycotting Warner Brothers. At least there's talks of that. But you're right, also, that's a separate question of HBO Max, is it, are we condoning this kind of behavior if we get HBO Max?
Here's the other thing about HBO Max just in general. It's really crappy branding on their part, because, like, when it came out, everybody was completely confused. Wait, is it, because first they kind of did streaming HBO Go, then there was HBO Now, and now it's HBO Max. Like, they were just doing all these different names that people are totally lost by it, and a lot of people, like they say, I think HBO Max has 12 million subscribers, but there's actually at least 10 or 15 million people who are technically eligible for it, but haven't signed up for it. And
right.
that's part of the confusion that people don't realize. Oh, well, you have HBO on your TV. You're paying for HBO Max now.
Right. I mean, I didn't understand it either. I mean, for a while I had access to HBO, but I was like, do I have HBO Go, or like, what is that, and what is HBO Max, and a lot of the stuff I didn't understand, and I follow movie stuff, so it's very confusing. And I think say what you will about Disney Plus not having a ton of new content, but at least I felt like Disney by now is a pro at branding. They're just like, this is Disney Plus, here's our entire back catalog, here's The Mandalorian, here's Hamilton, go. And I think everybody just was on board with that, and I think their subscriber numbers show that. Yeah. But with HBO Max, if they would have come out strong and said, hey, look, we got these classic movies like Casablanca, and like we had this whole huge back catalog of Oscar movies and great new content like the Snyder Cut, and there was none of this like brand confusion.
Wait, hold on. I just gotta correct you. You said great new and Snyder Cut in the same sentence. They don't belong together.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
But anyway, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying, so that brand confusion is definitely coming back to bite them.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing about Disney Plus. It's Disney. They could say, oh, we're actually not making any content for Disney Plus. We're just going to keep the old stuff on there. And it'll still have a steady amount of subscribers. Obviously, it will not as much as the streaming giants, but the Disney catalog in itself is very, has all this power behind it.
Right. I mean, honestly, when Disney Plus was first announced, what I thought it was going to be was not that there would be new content for it, but it was just whatever Disney releases that year. So it's like, all right, Frozen 2 came out, well, then Frozen 2 comes to Disney Plus. All right, well, like Cars 4 comes out in the future, like that's going to migrate to Disney Plus. But I didn't think they'd be making original content exclusive to Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think they have to really do much of that. I think a few good shows is enough to really... A few good shows plus their back catalog is enough to get most people.
Right now, they have one good original show, The Mandalorian.
Right.
Like, that's the only... I know they have a couple other original shows on there. Never heard anybody talk about any other show other than The Mandalorian on there, though.
Exactly.
And it's doing great.
Exactly, yeah. The Mandalorian's killing it. Everyone's talking about it. But, we've talked about it.
Yeah. But you know what? Warner Brothers, if you actually look, they actually have a pretty impressive back catalog. But that's the thing. Like, it shouldn't be... Warner Brothers should be in the name, not HBO, because Warner Brothers, that means more. Warner Brothers.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying about the brand confusion is... If you say Disney Plus, I know what I'm getting, right? I know
exactly.
I don't have a question about what's up on Disney Plus and what's not. I'm like, is it a Disney movie? All right, cool, it's on Disney Plus. I mean, with a few exceptions. I'm still waiting on Condor Man. But in general, I know exactly what I'm getting when you say the word Disney Plus. If you say Netflix, all right, I'm a little more confused. There's some stuff that kind of migrates to and from Netflix, but in general, I know the kind of shows that are up on Netflix. I know what's coming. They do their best to advertise their original stuff. I know I'm getting Stranger Things, things like that. Other than like the Snyder Cut, I couldn't really tell you what's on HBO Max. I assume Game of Thrones, but that's I guess. I mean, I'm assuming most content that was on HBO at one point is on there, but like if I subscribe to it, can I watch John Oliver? Like I don't know. I don't know what's on HBO.
John Oliver even makes that joke. I'm on HBO Max, I think. Like he makes fun of how confusing it is.
Yeah, so it's it's not clear, and I think if they were like, how think of even more niche streaming services like what's it called, Shudder. Shudder.
I never even heard of Shudder.
Shudder is an exclusively horror-themed streaming service. They have all the horror movies, and they make original horror movies. And from what I hear, they're great. They're quite good. I'm not a horror movie guy, so I don't obviously subscribe to it. But people love it. You know, my friends who are into horror won't stop talking about how great it is, and that's because it has a strong brand. It's like, hey, you love horror, you love like gory, bloody movies, you love Halloween. Like, this is your streaming service. Sign up for it. You know, if you're like, oh, Crunchyroll, I love anime. I'm an anime guy. I'm gonna watch all the anime. This is what I'm. But I wouldn't even know. Like, I feel like brands like HBO Max and to a lesser extent Hulu, I'm just like, what's on this? I don't even know.
And here's another thing. See, when I think of HBO, I think of, all these adult shows, nudity and stuff.
Right.
You know, things I don't want for kids. But you know, you might not know this. Sesame Street is on HBO Max. Like, Looney Tunes, they have a bunch of things for kids on there, but that's not what you're gonna think when you hear the name HBO. Like, and that's again, it's a branding thing.
Right, to your point of like, if it was called Warner Brothers Max, I'd be like, oh man, I really want to watch the Animaniacs. Let me turn on Warner Brothers Max.
Which is actually on Hulu for some reason, but that's a different story.
But if you tell me HBO Max, I'm like, all right, well maybe like, you know, after the kids are asleep, I'll watch Westworld or something. But like, I don't know. Like you said, I had no idea Sesame Street was on HBO Max.
Yeah, and Elmo has a not too late talk show on it, and it's like you said, it has a lot. It has content on it that you don't realize on it because you think HBO. It's just pointed name branding.
Right.
And
I mean,
here's another.
Oh
wait, no, you still got things about the name brand to say?
Oh, well, that's why I was going to say, and you tell me if this fits in with what you were going to say. That's why I do actually think this is a smart move from Warner Brothers, with an asterisk, that I think it was a very stupid way to go about it. But I do think, you know, if this comes to pass and they can rebrand themselves as like, oh, we're the movie direct-to-you people, you know, I mean, if Matrix 4 is exclusively on HBO Max, I'm getting HBO Max. So, I mean, from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense. It's just the way they went about it that's kind of backhanded.
Well, see, my also thing about it, a lot of the movies affected by it are movies you want to watch in a movie theater. Like I was looking at the biggest movies that caught my. Now, one, In the Heights. I'm really excited for that movie made by Lin-Manuel Miranda. But you know what? Then I'm like, I could watch that at home. That will be fine. But then I'm look at Godzilla vs. King Kong, The Suicide Squad. All these movies that are made to be watched in theaters, like
Godzilla vs. King Kong. Like when the characters are the size of buildings, that's like a movie you have to watch in the movie theater.
Yeah, like if it's anything like take Pacific Rim for example, like that's the same type of movie. You want that is such a great experience watching that in the theater. Watching that at home is like whatever.
Even
I don't.
Right, even
Godzilla vs. King Kong won't have the same effect at home.
Right, even the Matrix 4. I mean, like, you know, I've always been a staunch defender of the somewhat poor Matrix sequels, but I mean, seeing them in the theater versus when I rented them on DVD back in the day, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah. So like I said, they have all these movies that.
I mean, Dune, like that sandworm. I mean, when I saw that trailer, like I saw the trailer on my phone on YouTube or whatever, but then I went to go see a movie in IMAX later on, and I saw that trailer with the giant sandworm. Yeah. It's astounding.
The director for that, what has he done?
Denis Villeneuve, I think I'm saying that correctly. He did Blade Runner 2049, as well as. He also did Arrival, which are
I love Arrival.
Both of which are like some of my favorite movies. He's really into heady sci-fi.
I could have watched at home and enjoyed just as much.
Oh, I gotta disagree. I think like that's the sound, like the sound design that the aliens make, it like haunts me. Arrival.
It was great watching it in theater, but it was so drama driven that I thought it would be just great to watch at home.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, like I said, I mean, you make do with what you can. But
yeah, I know he was complaining, though, about it.
Arrival is one of, like, the 3 movies in my life that have made me cry, and I don't know if that would have happened at home.
Yeah, but I know, like, whatever his name is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. He was one of the people criticizing the move, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Because he makes his movies for the theater, which, you know.
And I think Legendary was complaining because Netflix was trying to buy Godzilla vs. King Kong, and they talked about it with Warner Brothers, like, nah, let's not sell it. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to put it on HBO Max.
Right. It's like, it's easy for you to say that, like, oh, well, you should wait to make your money back. But they, like, you know, they put up, I think it was 60 to 75% of the budget for that movie, and they would have recouped the entirety of it if they sold it to Netflix. But now it's up in the air, because how do you pay them? Do you pay them per click on, you know, the movie, or do you pay them per new subscriber the month that it's released? I mean, like, there's nothing in their contract that shows them a path to profitability, and I think that's a big problem for them. But
yeah.
But anyway, what are your so do you have any other thoughts? Just kind of wrapping this up. What are your overall thoughts?
My overall thought that, one, it was definitely like it was way too far in advance because we don't know what's coming up, what's going to be happening, and two, it was just a jerk way to do it without even talking to anybody. Like, maybe it was going to have to be done. I don't know, but even if it was the right thing to do, there is no defending the way they did it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I honestly think this was something that was going to happen either way, and they just decided to use the pandemic as an excuse to kind of just shotgun it out all at once. And I think that was just a really, really poor way to go about it, especially with not warning. Like you said, it's indefensible to not warn your partners who have financial investment with millions of dollars on the line that you're doing something. And so, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see if Disney, you know, there's rumors that tomorrow Disney will, on their investor call, kind of talk about what their plan is with movies and Disney Plus. So it'll be interesting to see if, hopefully, and I don't think they will, hopefully they don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah. All right, so I think we covered everything.
All right.
All right. This was Off Topic with Mike and JD. I'm still JD.
And I'm still Mike.
Bye.